The Hidden Grace of the Loveliest Souls, a journey into authentic kindness. We live in a world obsessed with perfection, with success, influence, power, and visibility. Every day we scroll past curated lives, perfectly lit photos, and inspiring affirmations. And yet in the shadows of all that sparkle and glamour, there exists another kind of person, quieter, often invisible, and infinitely more profound. They are not the ones who dominate conversations or dazzle with charisma. They don't shine under the spotlight or command applause, but they hold something rarer, an extraordinary emotional honesty. They are the ones you want with you at 2 a.m. when your life is unraveling. They are the people whose mere presence makes pain bearable, whose silence is more comforting than 1,000 words. They are the loveliest people in the world. The beauty of those who no longer pretend to understand the loveliest souls. We must first confront a truth most of us spend our lives performing. We wear masks of competence, confidence, and happiness because the world rewards those who seem to have it all together. But the loveliest people, they've dropped the mask. They are not interested in appearing flawless. They will tell you about their anxiety without hesitation. They will confess to moments of failure, bitterness, or shame, not to shock or seek attention, but simply because it's real. They've come to accept that life isn't a clean narrative of upward progress. It's messy, full of setbacks, contradictions, and sorrow. And in that surrender to truth, they've discovered something extraordinary: freedom. The freedom to be as they are. The freedom to see others not as competitors or projections, but as fellow wanderers, confused, wounded, yet deeply worthy. The gentle art of listening without fixing. What makes these people feel so safe? It's their refusal to judge. Most of us are used to conversations where advice is thrown around like confetti. You should do this. You just need to think positive. But the loveliest souls listen in a completely different way. They don't try to fix you. They don't rush to reframe your pain as an opportunity. Instead, they allow your story to land fully and completely. They know that grief doesn't need a solution, it needs a witness. That despair doesn't want to be erased, it wants to be understood. They've sat long enough with their own suffering to know its contours. So when you speak your truth, no matter how dark, absurd, or ugly, they don't flinch. They nod with a quiet "me too," not because they've been through the same thing, but because they've felt the same depth. Brokenness as a gateway to compassion. There is a false belief in our culture that the most loving people are the most whole. But the opposite is often true. The most loving are usually the most broken, but broken in a way that has softened them, not hardened them. Pain, when not denied or suppressed, has a way of stripping away judgment. The loveliest people have faced their shadow. They've wrestled with envy, rage, and insecurity. They know what it's like to disappoint others and themselves. But instead of using that as a reason to grow bitter, they've used it as a bridge to others. They understand that cruelty often comes from fear, that selfishness is often born from emptiness, that everyone in some way is doing their best with what they've been given. And because they no longer need to be perfect, they don't expect it from others. They create space for people to be flawed, uncertain, contradictory, and still lovable. Humor forged in the fires of despair. You'll notice that these people often laugh, but not the light surface-level laugh of sitcoms and small talk. Their humor is deep, rich, and often dark. It's not because they're cynical, but because they've seen the absurdity of life up close. They've planned carefully only to see everything fall apart. They've loved deeply only to be abandoned. They've tried their best and still failed. And yet, rather than collapsing into bitterness, they've learned to chuckle at the cosmic joke. Their laughter doesn't erase pain, it elevates it. It says, yes, this is all ridiculous and unfair and hard, and somehow we're still here. How the most together families can be falling apart behind closed doors. They know that credentials don't tell the whole story and often tell none of it. Instead, they see with the eyes of the heart. They notice the trembling in someone's voice, the heaviness behind a smile, the silence that hides 1,000 fears. They speak to the soul, not the surface. To be in their presence is to feel visible in a way that has nothing to do with achievements and everything to do with being human. The sacred power of unpolished presence. Sometimes what makes these people so precious is not what they say, but what they don't. They don't offer motivational slogans or pretend to have the answers. They don't quote books or lectures at you. They simply show up. They will sit beside you in silence if words feel too heavy. They will make you tea when you're too broken to talk. They will hold your hand when you're not sure if you'll make it through the night. Their presence says you are not alone. I won't fix you. I won't abandon you. I will simply be here. In a world obsessed with doing, they embody the sacred power of being. Why these people matter more than ever. We are surrounded by noise, opinions, trends, outrage, demands for attention. In this whirlwind, we're starving for authenticity, for depth, for someone who can look at us and say, "You don't have to prove anything. I see you." The loveliest people are anchors in this storm. They remind us of what truly matters: connection, truth, kindness, presence. They are the kind of people you want next to you in the darkest places, the hospital room, the breakup couch, the sleepless night of regret. Not because they'll rescue you, but because they'll never pretend that you need rescuing in order to be loved. Becoming one of them. You might be thinking, where do I find these people? But perhaps a better question is, how do I become one of them? It begins with embracing your own vulnerability, allowing yourself to be messy, contradictory, unsure, listening without needing to speak, feeling deeply without needing to fix, laughing without needing everything to be okay. It means showing up for others in their rawness, not to change them, but to accompany them. It means being unafraid to say, "I've been there," or "I don't know," or simply, "I'm here." The quiet revolution of gentle souls. The world will not reward you for being one of the loveliest people. You won't trend or go viral. You won't win prizes or accolades, but you will matter more than you know. You'll be the person someone remembers on their hardest day. You'll be the voice someone hears when they think they can't go on. You'll be the safe place in a world full of judgment. And slowly, quietly, your presence will change the people around you. Not through force, but through kindness. Not through control, but through compassion. This is a quiet revolution, a rebellion not of anger, but of tenderness. And it always begins in the heart. Final reflections, the gift of being truly seen. In the end, what we all long for is not perfection, but to be seen and accepted as we are. The loveliest people in the world offer us this gift not because they have perfect lives, but because they've made peace with imperfection. They have walked through their own darkness and emerged not bitter, but tender. And so we should seek them out. But more importantly, we should become them. For others, for ourselves, for a world in desperate need of gentleness. If this video resonated with you, consider sharing it with someone who might need it today. Subscribe for more content about real connection, emotional wisdom, and the quiet beauty of simply being human.